that awesome? Man, I just love the presence of God. Amen. Hey, glad you're with us today. And I'm telling you, this has been, anybody else, has this been a busy month for y'all? You know, it is on, isn't it? And we keep adding stuff. You know, the cops are going to do a kid and cops thing. That's what they call it. They said we want to do a kids and cops thing with different departments and some fire trucks and get the stuff out and invite the community to bring their kids out. And so on April 30th in our parking lot, the different departments are going to use our place and have a kids and cops thing. Bring your kids out and maybe, I don't know, maybe they get to drive a car, you know. Do something like that. And that morning to get a roll, and we thought, well, we're going to have to get together anyway, so let's just do a men's breakfast the 30th. So guys, mark your calendar, come out. We're going to get up really early, 8:30. And then we're going to, you know, get a few of us to hang out and help serve community so that cops are free to play with kids. Some of you are looking at me like, are they real? You know, they don't really have your name. Okay, so you can relax. Okay. Matter of fact, just so you know, we kind of have a deal that if they find you here during one of those events, they can't cart you off. Serious, we have a deal. It's like, no, you have to catch them at a later date because you can't come to a date where they come to honor you and you cuff them and haul them out. It's not going to look good. So they leave that list in the car. And amen. Hey, grab some invite cards and go crazy with them. You know, invite cards are available for Easter and Fam Jam, all in one card. It's just get some of those and start inviting people. If you get pulled over by a cop, hand him back the blue card. Talk to Todd later. I won't tell you what happened, but they work, okay? And they could save you a lot. Hey, you ready? Come on, you ready? You know, you ready to step up just a little bit? Ready to take a step? Ready to keep climbing? Ready to get up? You know, because here's the deal, and you got to remember this, that the original intent, you know, that God has for your life, which, by the way, God has a purpose for you. I said, God has a purpose for you. There's a plan just for you. And you want to know what I think is awesome is there's not a plan B. Like for your life, then great, I've screwed this one up. No, your mistakes, see, because a lot of times we are often very aware of our mistakes. And a mistake, you know, is just break the word down. A mistake, like you've brought something in that you probably shouldn't have touched. You know, you've taken something that you should have just walked on by. You've selected something or elected to leave something out that you should have brought in. But none of your mistakes are bigger than His purpose. One of the things that I love about God is that He declares your end at the beginning, and then He lets you kind of go wild a little bit in the middle because you can't screw up His purpose. Like at some point you'll be like the prodigal that went off but came to his right mind. One translation says he came to his senses and headed back to his father. Or you might be the older brother that's been hanging around trying to be religious and trying to follow rules. But at some point, each and every one of us are going to come to our senses, to our right mind. We're going to realize that, hey, you know what? God's plan is bigger than any problem I've created. God's purpose for my life is stronger. There's a stronger pull on my life by the purpose of God. The matter of fact, that pull on your life is great enough to pull you up, out of the pit of your despair. Okay, and He's not going to leave you. He loves you where you are, but He's not going to leave you where you are because His purpose is awesome. His plan for your life is awesome. I love Isaiah 46:13a. Okay, and in the New Living, it says, I'm ready. I mean, you got to get this. You got God going, I'm ready. You ready? I'm ready. You ready? I mean, you got God talking to you today. I'm ready. You ready? A lot of you guys are waiting on God, and God said, hey, I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm ready to set things right. Everybody say, set things right. That means that some things aren't right. Right? I mean, come on. To set things right. It's almost like you got a picture in your mind like have you ever had a broken bone and they had to reset that? Well, there's a moment there where that's not any fun at all. Okay, but yeah, I have people amen to me that have never spoken in church before. They're like, hey, man, you're God. But you know, to get that set right, you know, so there's this process that you got to go through to get to what you're going to. And what you're going to feels a lot better. But sometimes you got to go through to get to. Right? And you need to remember that the same God of the promise, he's still God in the process. See, the God of the promise, he's the God of the process too. And the process does not change his opinion. It doesn't change his purpose. It doesn't change his plan. It doesn't change him at all. He is going to get you to the place that he's called and equipped you and empowered you to be. He's going to, if you give him your life, if you give him your attention, if you give him a moment, if you know, hey, I really think that, you know, and this will sound weird coming from a preacher, okay? But listen, it's like if you just start off with little bits, I'll just give you a little bit. He'll start making that bit better. You know, I was thinking when Fredo was up here, and he said, I don't tell him that my life's better than yours. I'm thinking, tell him. Now, I'm going to tell you something right now. If you ain't got God, my life's better than yours. If God wasn't making my life better, he'd be a liar. Your life better be better than somebody who ain't got God. If your life ain't better, you better get saved again. You know, get born again. Let him make your life better. You know, I think you ought to go all in right now, right here. Just, I mean, give it all. And that's where he's leading us, isn't it? But the little bits you give him, let me tell you something. If the little bits you get him, he's going to begin to use them. He's going to begin to bring increase and blessing and opportunity and open doors that no man can shut. And he's going to begin to pull you out because he has a purpose. We could call it the original intent for your life. And he's going to see it fulfilled because he declared your end at your beginning. And he's not going to let some jacked up, screwed up middle outshine him. You know what? God gets the final word. Come on, somebody. Say, I'm ready. He's gonna put things back in order. He's gonna put things back in order. He's gonna put things back in order. Set things right. Put it back in order. He's gonna get it working again. And he's not talking about in the distant future. Look at this. But right now. But right now. But right now, but right now, but right now. Man, I feel the Pentecostal preacher coming alive up in here now. Okay, right now, right now, right now, right now, right now, right now. And the enemy's trying to talk you into waiting a little bit, but God's saying, no, hey, you don't need to wait. You can have it right now. You can have your healing right now. You can have your breakthrough right now. You can have your deliverance right now. You can have your peace right now. You can have your joy right now. I'm telling you, family revival right now. Remember, there were times I think it probably irritated the boys because they would be living. You know, the Bible says that children are a blessing. There were moments that, you know, but every blessing comes with complications. Okay, like not some, no, every blessing. Every blessing comes with complications. Every blessing. There were moments I think it would kind of freak them out a little bit because they would be just doing, okay, like things we probably shouldn't even mention. And we'd be quoting stuff. Can I be super transparent? I'm going to be. It's just, I don't even know why I ask, just to be polite. I would quote things that at the moment I didn't actually believe. But it's weird because there are places where there are things I knew certain things, even though I didn't believe them. See, there's a difference between knowing something and believing something. And, you know, like I believe, you know, I believe. That's a starting point. But you really want to move to where you know something. It's the knowledge of the truth that empowers you to operate in your freedom. See, like, I'm trying to think of a great example. You know, you believe. It's like you go out to dinner with somebody else, and you're believing that they're going to pick up the tab. Like they're going to pick it up, right? They're going to get it, and so under that belief is how you place your order. Okay. Because if you were paying, it'd be like, I'll just have a side salad, thank you. But if you believe, you know, then you go, yeah, filet, right, and add the salad, and get the creme brulee ready. Come on, somebody, right? But if you know they're going to pay, you might order 2-3 meals. You know, I know this. I've taken my boys to dinner. And they'll order enough for like a week. And I'll sit there and look at, and I'll say something to me. What the heck? What are they doing? And don't worry about it. And why? Because they know. See, when you know, all my children will be taught of the Lord, and great shall be the peace of my children. You can quote it even when you don't really believe it. Because what's going on around you doesn't necessarily reflect what you know to be true. See, I know that all things work together for good for those that love God and those who are called according to his purpose. There are moments in the middle of a thing that I can't believe this is going to be good, but I know it's going to be okay. Hello, somebody? And you might be in a spot today. You might be in a spot today where you're having a hard time believing that God could do anything with this mess, but you need to know that there's a mess before the miracle. Like if you've ever been through some stuff, I mean, ever. I'm not talking about, you know, you had to wait in line at Dutch Bros. I'm talking like stuff went sideways and caused you to question your beliefs. Just hold a hand up. You know, if you've ever been through things, and just kind of look around the room, because you know you need to recognize that you're not the only one. If you've been through stuff several times, I mean, several life-challenging, you know, gut-wrenching, heart-breaking, just lift up 2 hands. If you're in the middle of it and it continues to grow, lift up 2 hands and a foot. You know, just it's like, hey, here I am. Well, don't worry about what you believe right now. Know what you know. I said, you know, you got to get back to what you know, because you know that God will not leave you nor forsake you. You know that the Lord has you by his right hand. You know that he's for you, not against you. You know that he's going to keep every promise that he's ever made to you. You know he's coming through. You know that all my children shall be taught of the Lord, and great shall be the peace of my children. I know that if I put all my trust in the Master Jesus, I'll live the life I was meant to, and my whole house too. See, if the kids, if family members, relatives, if they've been super irritating, frustrating, get back at them. Put your entire trust in the Master Jesus and stand on the promise that you'll live the life you're meant to, and your whole house too, suckers. Huh? Yeah. God's saying, I'm ready. You ready? I'm ready. You ready? See, because what you got to remember is that the process is temporary, but the promise is permanent. No word from God will ever fail. See, you weren't a mistake. When God adopted you into the family, behold, what manner of love the Father has bestowed upon us, that we are now called the sons and the daughters of God. When he didn't mistake you. He didn't miss the right one and get to you. You've been brought into the kingdom for such a time as this. His purpose and his plan is still a go for your life. Look at this, Psalms 138:8. You, talking to God, you keep every promise you've ever made to me. Oh my God. You keep every promise ever made to me. Since your love for me is constant and endless, regardless of the stupidity that I've performed. Since your love doesn't stop when I screw up. God, you keep every promise you've ever made to me, and since your love for me isn't impacted by a situation that has consumed my mind, I just say, I'm just asking you, Lord, why don't you go ahead and finish the good thing that you've begun in me? God, I give you permission today to just finish what you started. In spite of me, God is working in my life. Come on, somebody. You got to get this. God's not going to break his promise and give you credit. He's not going to say, well, no. He keeps every promise ever made. Look at it in the living translation. The Lord will work out his plans for my life. The Lord will work out his plans in my life. Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans I think towards you. An expected end. See, something might come up unexpected in the middle. But let me tell you, when you get to the end, it'll be the end that God expected. He's got plans. You know these things. Look at Romans 8:28. It says, we know. At the end, everything's working together for good to those who are called according to his purpose. I really like it in King James because the word his is in italics, which means that in the original, that word's not there, but they put that word in there to help you understand the verse. But when you take that word out, it says that all things work together for good for those that love God, to them who are called according to purpose. See, you're called according to purpose. It's weird that they felt we should point out that it's his purpose, not your preference. There's a bunch of stuff that we probably would prefer not be there, but his purpose, whether you preferred certain things or not, his purpose is not impacted by your preference. Well, I have been in places, and I'm certain you have too, that you're not exactly sure how this is going to work. You're not too certain of why is this happening to me? When is this going to stop? What are we going to do? Who is going to help me? Well, what do you know? What do you know? There was a guy that you've heard of. If this is like your second time to church, you probably heard of this guy. Job. He's going through some stuff. Hello, somebody. He's dealing with some issues. He's totally confused. I don't know how you're going to do this. I don't know why this is happening. I don't know who to listen to. I don't know when it's going to stop. But listen to what he said. But this is what I know. I know my Redeemer lives. Hey, on this Palm Sunday, here's something you need to know. Your Redeemer still lives. Your Redeemer lives. I'm not sure how he's going to handle this, frankly. It doesn't really matter because he's gonna. And my final outcome is gonna be better. See, if you get too consumed with today's process, you'll not live towards tomorrow's promise. But you need to be focused on the promise. There's a way. Remember Proverbs 14:12? It says there's a way that seems right to a man, but the end is just filled with destruction, with death, destruction. There's a way that seems, some of us, we get in trouble because we rely on our seamer too often. It seems to me this is the way we should do that. It seems to me, you even go to events, you show up at Bless the Boo. Maybe we should do that sometime. Isn't that like a friend? Huh? No. What is it? You're not going to talk to me about it? He's like, you're on your own. Welcome to Bless the Boo. Okay. But you show up at stuff and you're thinking, well, it seems to me that we probably should have done that. It seems to me like the music's too loud. It seems to me like the lights are too low. It seems to me like the services are too short. Anybody? Anybody? And you get hyper focused on the way, and lose your focus on the end. But if you focus on the end, God can direct the way. See, you don't have to live your life missing the cheese. You can do it your way if you want to. Just poke a hole in there and suck. Huh? Wonder where they learned that. It's probably why your lady's so small. She never let anybody help her with her cheese. I'm telling you. You might, for a minute, okay, he told stories about his daughter. Let me tell stories about my granddaughters. One of our favorite things to do, me and Annie, and the other girls like it too, and let me tell you why, because Annie tells them to. And we're going to play hide and seek. And she'll go in a room and she'll count first, and I'll go hide. And she'll come looking, and I'll have to, did you hear that? Where's he at, Mimi? Where's he at, Mimi? And Mimi will say, I can't tell you. She'll go through the house until she locates me, and then, I found you. I'm like, yeah, after I yelled. Okay, it's your turn, Pops. Count loud. Okay, 1. And she'll go running off. 2. And you can hear her. 3. I'll save you the mercy. 9. 10. Ready or not, here I come. And I'll go get a cup of coffee. I'll hear. Woo-hoo-hoo. Yeah. Make a sandwich. And when it's the appropriate time, I'll walk into her room where she is either under the bed or on the bed. Sometimes she's under the bed with her feet sticking out. Sometimes she's on the bed, just on the bed, with a pillow over her face. Because she knows if she can't see me, I can't see her. So some of you, for just a moment, should close your eyes to your present condition so you can open your eyes to what God calls next. So you can't see your next because you're so focused on your now. But sometimes you got to go through the mess that's before the miracle. You got to be able to see it. You got to be able to see it. Check this out. John 9:1. Jesus was walking along. Jesus was walking along, and he saw a man who had been blind from his birth. Look at verse 6. And then Jesus, spit on the ground, made mud with saliva, and spread the mud all over the blind man's face. Jesus was walking along. Verse 1. He saw a man who had been blind from birth. Say blind. Okay, you guys participate, or we're starting over. Say blind. From birth. Okay? Now, he sees a man who's been blind from birth. Matter of fact, the disciples, which I loved sometimes to lovingly refer to them as the disciples, who sinned. You know, remember that? Whose fault is this? Because we always need somebody to blame. And Jesus is like, you know, I love the fact that sometimes we say stupid stuff and Jesus just ignores. You know, Jesus sees a man who's been blind from his birth, so he spits in the dirt. Dude, this is not the first guy that Jesus has spit in dirt and made mud and messed with people. Jesus went around spitting on people, calling it ministry. Well, that don't seem right. You see, you're focused on the seamer, and you're missing the end. Jesus is making a mess. Sometimes you got to go through the mess. That's before the miracle. Jesus sees someone blind from birth. See, the other guy that he spit and made mud, that guy had lost his sight, and Jesus gave him back his sight. Remember the woman with the issue of blood, 38 years, wasn't it? He gave her back her health. Remember the guy from last week that was at the pool paralyzed for 38 years. Jesus gave him back his legs, back his walk, back his progress. Remember Lazarus in a tomb, he gave him back his life. But this guy, Jesus gives him something he ain't never had before. See, he's not only a restorer. I mean, it's awesome when he restores what's been taken. But he can give you stuff you ain't never touched before. I feel the power. Ha! I grew up in churches where there was always a lot of ha in there. Today, we're going to have the presence of God. He's going to move in this place. Let me tell you what's going to happen before you get out of this chair. Man, it's just fun. You ought to walk around the house doing that. Get up in here. I've prepared your dinner. Come to the table. Sit down here. Pick up your fork. Don't forget your napkin. Talking about family revivals. See, you may have never walked in victory, but you can walk out with it today. You may have never known peace, but you can have it right now. Right now. Right now. You could have been born into poverty, but you're walking out right here today. You're walking out with the blessing of the Lord upon your life that produces wealth and increase without painful toil. Come on, somebody. Maybe you've never known how to really forgive, but today he can give you a heart that can forgive. Jesus sees someone blind from birth, and he starts spitting. Well, I spit. Well, what's in your spit? Your DNA. Jesus is spitting in the dirt, which if you read Genesis 1, you find out that the body was made from dirt. What's he doing? He's going back to the original intent. He's going back to the original intent. He takes his DNA, he mixes it with that original stuff, and he says, you know what? It was not God's intention that you might have been born blind, but let me tell you what, you ain't gonna die blind. Oh, you might have been born broken, but you ain't dying broken. You might have been born in bondage, but you ain't dying in bondage. Come on, somebody. Oh my God, I know I'm speaking to somebody today. Like you've been told your whole life you ain't ever getting over that. You just did. I'm reminded every time Evan and Courtney pull up and drop off the granddaughters that they're not supposed to be able to produce. You ain't ever gonna have a kid. Okay, she'll have 2. Why? Because he doesn't just restore. Oh, I wish I had some Jesus spittle. Oh, if we just had some Jesus spittle. You have something more powerful than the spit of Jesus. You have the Spirit of Jesus. You have the same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead, living and dwelling on the inside of you. Don't you be intimidated by this process. You have a promise. Jesus, you know, my gosh, man, that's a cool story. He's making mud in the dirt and he's smearing it on the guy. The guy who most of his life has probably had to deal with some mind storms, constantly thinking, you know, and being probably overly concerned with those who are speaking about him. His whole life. So I had to have somebody help him get to wherever he's going. Concerned with who's speaking about him. Maybe you shouldn't be quite as concerned with who's speaking about you, but you start focusing on who's speaking into you. Because Jesus comes to speak into him. And he puts mud on his face. And then he says something to him. You should probably wash your face. And then Jesus moves on. Okay. So you've had the presence of Jesus, you've had the touch of Jesus, you've had the word of Jesus, you've had the spit of Jesus. You still blind. You've had the presence of Jesus, the touch of Jesus, you got the Spirit of Jesus, you have the intent of Jesus, you have the plan of Jesus. You're still stuck. Yeah, till you do what he said. It's like he told the guy at the pool, get up. He didn't even extend a hand to help. He didn't take the blind guy and say, here, walk with me. You know, I'll get you over there to where you can wash your face. He said, go wash yourself. Go wash yourself. Here's a question for you today. Will you begin to walk even with the mess? Or will you use the mess to justify why you ain't walking? There's a mess before the miracle. See, I don't think that we really see the picture really correctly. We think it's a miracle. Jesus gave sight to the blind. It's like thinking it's a miracle. God made the walls at Jericho come down. No, the miracle is not the portion that God did. I mean, think about the walls of Jericho. Isn't that where they marched around the city for 7 days without saying a word? The people who had been 40 years in the wilderness for murmuring, for talking. They talked so much, they spent 40 years in the wilderness, have been asked to walk around a wall for 7 days and don't say nothing. The miracle's not the fact that the wall came down. The miracle's the fact they kept their mouth shut for 7 days. Is it really miraculous that he gives sight? No, let me tell you what the miracle is. That man did what he was told to do by the one who had the power to give him what he couldn't get. He has the ability to give you something that you've never been able to touch before. He has the power to let you see like you've never seen before, so you can go like you've never been before, so that you can reach what you couldn't touch before, so you can accomplish what you couldn't start before. But the question isn't, will he do it? He said, no, I'm ready. You ready? I'm ready. I'm ready to set things right. I know it's messed up, but I'm ready to put things back into alignment. This is what I do. I'm ready. You ready? See, the question isn't, will God come through? The question is, will you do what he's asked you to do? Some of you have been at the threshold of a breakthrough for 38 years. Well, if I don't forgive him, Jesus will still love me. Absolutely true. But you'll still be blind and in bondage. Yeah, but I'll still get to heaven. See, that wasn't his original intent. His original intent was not to get you to heaven. His original intent was to bring heaven to earth through you. See, if you die, well, I'm going to go to heaven. If I die, I'm going to heaven. Okay, if you live, will heaven come through you? Teach us, Jesus, how to pray. He said, okay. Number one, don't pray like a slave. Pray like a son. Our Father. Pray like a son of God. A lot of us pray like a child of God. But an heir, as long as he remains a child, differs nothing from a slave. So really you pray like a slave rather than like a son. Why? Because you're blind to who you are. You've defined yourself as the sick one, as the bound one, as the wounded one, as the hurt one, as the depressed one. I'm the broken one. Well, you don't know who you are then. Will you do? This is my Bible. I am who he says I am. See, with your DNA, you am broken. With his DNA, you am whole. With your DNA, you am depressed. With his DNA, you're a conqueror. With your DNA, you are a failure. With his DNA, you are above only, not beneath. What did Jesus ask me to do? It's not as hard as you think. Wash your face. Get the mud out your eye. Some of you, all you need to do is say, you know what? I don't know how you're going to work it out. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know who you're going to move, change, bring in. I don't know anything, but I know my Redeemer lives. So I'll do what you've asked me to do. I forgive them. Well, they haven't begged for forgiveness yet. I forgive them. Not in word only. But when I'm praying for them, I'm not praying that their house burns down anymore. Every time I buy a new car, I'm not driving by their house so they can see I'm doing great. I'm not going to think about them that may be speaking about me. I'm going to focus on the one who's speaking into me. I can do what he says I can do. I can wash my face. I can get this mud out of my eyes so that I can see the promise instead of focusing on this problem. I can walk with the mess until I find the place where obedience creates my breakthrough. He's ready. You ready? He's ready. Set things right. Not way off down the road, but right now. But right now. We're going to pray together. We're going to pray together. Some of you, you need to take your destiny back. You've left it in the hands of people. You've left it in the hands of others. You've taken your purpose and you've surrendered it to different forces. And you need to say, wait a minute. No, God, you have plans for my life. Not to harm me, but to give me hope and to give me my future. To give me the expected end. And I know that you're causing all these things to work together for good because I love you, God. And I'm called to purpose. 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 So God, I'm going to passionately pursue purpose with everything I've got. I'm going to do what you told me to do. If you're in this room today, maybe you've never known freedom, but you can have it today. Maybe you walked in freedom, but lost it. It can be restored today. I'm telling you that he's here right now. But he's going to ask you to do something. He's going to ask you to do something that would have been difficult to do if you hadn't heard the promise first. Right? I mean, you walk up to the blind guy with no spit, no mud, and tell him to go wash his face. He's probably like, I don't think it's dirty. But he created a situation so he could speak into him, so that he could get some movement out of him, so that guy could collide with the original intent for his life. He's done the same thing to you today. He's done the same thing to you today. See, that blind guy went there thinking he was going to beg, but you came to church today thinking you're going to get ice cream. But no, God has an intentional plan. He's going to get you back to the original intent. I want the destiny that you have for my life, God. I want the purpose to be unveiled that you have for me. God, I want you to work out your plan in my life, and I'm going to participate. So what we're going to do, if in any area of your life you're ready for God's original intent, what I'm going to ask you to do is that we're going to get back under the tent for a minute, okay? We're having camp meeting. So when I get to 3, we're going to count. When I get to 3, and there's an area of your life, and it's like, okay, God, I know you're asking me for something, but I get to go out with something I ain't never had before, and it's going to be restored. It's going to be birthed. It's going to be produced, and I'm not even sure I believe it, but I know that no promise you've ever made will ever be broken. I know it, God. So when I say 3, you're just right wherever you are. You're going to stand up, okay? So ready? I'm ready. You ready? I'm ready. You ready? I'm ready. You ready? You ready? Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Just stand right up and say, yeah, I got an area in my life where I'm believing God for breakthrough. Now I have to determine if I'm going with my original intent, if I'm changing things up, because I'm looking. I'm like, because in preparation, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to get that 1. I'm going to say some stuff, and then I'm going to say 2. And then I'm going to get to 3. 17 people are going to stand. And I'm going to call them forward. And I'm going to pray for them. I don't have room for y'all. But I have to do what God told me to do. I have to do what God told me to do. Jesus spit in the ground. He puts his DNA in some dirt. He smears it on the guy's face. He says, okay, start moving. Start moving. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, let's see, that's north. Okay? So that means that's south. Right? North, south, west. Just waiting for you. So everybody, just look to the north. What I'm going to ask you to do, don't do it yet, but what I'm going to ask you to do, and you don't have to tear the aisles apart or nothing, just, so I understand that some of them are angled, don't be too religiously legal. But what I'm gonna ask you to do is we're all gonna take 2 steps to the north. Okay, are you ready? You ready? You want your breakthrough? Well, there's a guy sitting here. Step on him. Okay? Like don't let anything prevent you from just walking in obedience for just 2 steps. 2 steps. Because this isn't the part that we care about. This is the setup to the big close. Okay, you ready? So just take 2 steps, just 2 big steps for mankind. Okay, now stop there. And now everybody look to the east. Or south. Everybody's okay. This feels like that Christmas game where you get your thing taken away from you. In just a second, I'm going to pray for you, and we're going to take 4 steps. Why 4? I took 2 to get here because I don't want you winding up where you started. I don't want you to take 4 steps, but I don't want the old you to be the one that does it. I want you to step into the new man. See, because I know that he can restore, but what God really wants to do today is he wants you to remember not the former things, neither consider the things of old. For behold, I shall do a new thing. You're going to have attitudes you ain't never had before. You're going to have joy that you've never known before. You're going to have peace even though you've never had it. You're walking out of here with peace today. You're going to have victory like it's crazy, but you're going to take 4 steps in the new man. Father, right now we just stand here in agreement. And God, it's hard to believe that we would take 4 steps in the natural and something in the spiritual would break. But yet every time we read the historical accounts, God, you had men and women do small physical things to release huge spiritual response. So today, Father, we stand here. We don't know how, but we know you will. And we know that every promise you ever made, you're going to keep it. God, we just take these steps now. If any man be in Christ, he is new. And so, Father, these people, these men, these women, these boys, these girls that take these steps, this is the new man taking 4 steps. And God, we just thank you. You're going to give us things that we've never had before. We're going to walk out of here different, changed, empowered by the Spirit of God, and we give you glory for it in Jesus' name. 4 steps, ready, take them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now just stop and give God some praise. Come on, somebody, celebrate. Celebrate your freedom here. Celebrate your victory here. Celebrate up in somebody shout unto God with a voice of triumph. Come on, give him praise, give him praise.